This is a video that I did not expect to be making today. I wouldn't have thought I would be making this video for a couple months now, you know, October or April or whatever it was that we recently heard this movie was pushed back to, but here we are, talking about the Cloverfield Paradox. You know, yesterday we didn't even know what this movie was called, and now people are watching it on Netflix, and this whole situation is just mind-blowing to me. And I thought them dropping 10 Cloverfield Lane on us two months before it came out, I thought that was crazy. But this just blows my mind. This is why I love the Cloverfield universe and the Cloverfield movies so much. The first Cloverfield, you know, which is just Cloverfield. The first Cloverfield is very high on my list of favorite movies of all time. Not just the year it came out, you know, which I think was 2008. Boy, 2008, I think. But Cloverfield, top of my list, favorite movies of all time, definitely. And I was super excited for 10 Cloverfield Lane when that was announced. Just the fact that they were making more Cloverfield movies, and that movie was very good too. Another movie high on my list, but this movie just completely caught me off guard, and I think it probably caught everybody off guard. People were not expecting this, and there were rumors that it was possibly going to go on Netflix, but in this whole thing, it's odd too because it was originally supposed to be March, I think. That was when it was first going to be released, and then it got pushed back to I'm not really sure when, August maybe. But also this thing, before it was set to this year, it was supposed to come out last year. So, but for them to drop it like this, clearly they had it done and they were just waiting for the right and most profitable time to release the movie. So, but now I'm just going to get into some of my thoughts I had about this movie. I am going to talk spoilers, but that's going to be that's going to be later in this video. I just want to, this video is probably mostly going to be spoilers, because it's kind of hard to talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. But first, real quick, I just want to give some non-spoiler thoughts. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It was very good. This movie, yes, it was on Netflix, but this did not seem like a movie that this movie did not seem like a Netflix original movie. This movie could have been released in theaters. Maybe it should have been released in theaters. I don't know, but this movie was really good. The cast was really good in it. You know, it's got a cast full of people's names that I can't pronounce, and so I'm not going to try and pronounce them. I'm not going to butcher their names, but the cast was really good. The writing, the story, some of the visuals, which I might talk about later in the spoiler section, but there were a lot of visuals that I really liked. The whole story itself and how it connects within the Cloverfield universe, which is a very confusing thing, the Cloverfield universe. You would think that this might try and explain a little more, but it does that. It does help explain the Cloverfield universe a little bit more, but it also might confuse things a little bit more, which is fine, because this movie wasn't intended to be a Cloverfield movie. I think this movie, just like with 10 Cloverfield Lane, was something else, and then J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot, they came along picked it up, decided to tie it in with the Cloverfield universe, changed some, did some reshoots, changed the plot around a little bit. I think this movie was originally called God Particle. So, but this movie was very good. The first movie that I've seen in 2018, and I have a hard time thinking if there's a movie that's going to top it for me. I hate to say it, but it might all be downhill after this. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly, but we'll have to see. Now I want to talk spoilers real quick. And if you haven't seen Cloverfield Paradox, you should probably go see it. I mean, you should have already seen it by now. I mean, it just came on Netflix a couple hours ago. Why haven't you seen it? Why are you watching this in the first place? But this is your spoiler warning. Don't watch this if you haven't seen the movie. And it's probably not going to be too heavy spoilers, but just some of the stuff that I really liked. I mentioned the visuals, the whole scene with the water in the airlock and that getting sucked out and it freezing instantly. I thought that was very cool. I don't know how scientific that is. I know it's very, very cold in space, so that's probably possible and likely, but that whole visual is very cool. And then the whole stuff they did with Chris O'Dowd's character with his arm, I thought that was very clever. I really enjoyed that stuff. That's not something I saw coming. And I did think they were going to bring the arm back somehow into the story, because when she's going through like the final boss fight with the Jensen girl, she looks at it again. So I thought it was maybe going to come back into play somehow. Obviously the story changed, so maybe it was going to come back into play. Because when they had the shot to the arm, the first thing I thought of was, she can't turn both keys. Maybe she's going to like grab the arm and have the arm turn one key while she turns the other key. I thought that would be like a clever thing they were going to do. Because I had thought that Daniel Bruhl's, I hope I pronounced it right, I had thought that his character had actually died. Schmidt. I had thought he died, so that's why I went with maybe. And maybe he did die in the original plot, but they decided to keep him back. And I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about was how it ties in with the overall Cloverfield universe. Now, from what I can see, this does nothing to tie into the into the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane. So that's still an outlier of everything that's going on. So who knows about that? And so apparently this movie takes place, it seems like this movie, Cloverfield Paradox, takes place during the first Cloverfield, because we see the attack on New York. At least I think that's where that character is, the main character's boyfriend or husband. I think he's in New York. Maybe he's somewhere else, and then it's just another attack. Because when he looked at the ruined hospital, it seemed like you could see the building that was tilted over, leaning up against the other one, the building that they climb up to in first Cloverfield. It seemed like that was there. So maybe the timeline's throwing me for a loop here, because the monster is small. We know that the monster, well, small, but we know that the monster is a baby, and it's going to be much bigger. But then at the end of this movie, we see a larger monster. So I'm not sure how that works out with the timeline of when exactly this whole thing does take place. So that's something else too. Because the monster gets bombed at the end of Cloverfield, and I don't know. we just don't know enough about the whole Cloverfield universe yet. And now with this idea of multiple dimensions, parallel universes, that could tie in somehow too. I'm not 100% sure that this movie does in fact take place within the same universe, you know, the same Earth that the first Cloverfield movie takes place. That the giant monster at the end, that really kind of threw me for a loop there, because it looked similar. It looked similar to what we've seen of the monster in the first Cloverfield, but not exactly. You know, towards the end of this movie, I was really kind of hoping we would get a shot of that, of Clover, as I think the monster's just called Clover. But so I'm not sure completely if it is. This is going to be something that I think there's going to be more information about this movie coming out, you know, over the next couple days, and you know, we'll see what happens exactly with that. You know, there was the Slusho, I think, Slusho bobblehead, something like that. It has to do with the Cloverfield ARG. I didn't really get into that too much, because you know, that was a while ago. I was a little bit younger, and obviously references to Kelvin, because this is J.J. Abrams. He throws those in there a lot, and going through it on Wikipedia, I even saw that Simon Pegg and Greg Grunberg had small voice cameos within the film. Now that's definitely something that they added post J.J. Abrams taking over, because those are two people J.J. Abrams is very close with, that that he'll work with a lot. I might have to, well, I'll probably rewatch it again, see if I can pick out where their little voice cameos are. There's just a lot of things that don't seem to completely add up with this being the same Cloverfield and Cloverfield Paradox being in the same place, being the same time. And because one thing is technology, like this space, you know, not just the spaceship that they're in, but Cloverfield being, you know, 2008, the technology is 2008 technology. It's, you know, it's flip phones and stuff, when in this movie they're using touchscreen tablets and whatnot. And then the big thing that kind of makes me question everything, I would say, is the whole deal of the energy crisis going on. Like, that's something that did not come up in the first Cloverfield movie at all. So it really makes me wonder. I know there's more to this universe that is going on, with not just the first and the third movie, but also including 10 Cloverfield Lane in there somehow. And then there was the line of these things, you know, implying multiple monsters. Is that reference to the aliens that come in 10 Cloverfield Lane? I don't know. It's all a little confusing, and hopefully we'll get more movies that can fill us in a little bit more. Now, I'm not sure if we're getting a Cloverfield 4 this year. Because there was, you know, for a while there, it seemed like we were getting God Particle, and then we were getting another Cloverfield movie that was going to be released in IMAX. Now, I'm curious now, is there a Cloverfield, I'm curious now if there is a Cloverfield 4 that's going to be coming when we thought God Particle was pushed back too. Because they're being very secretive about this stuff, which is good. You know, I enjoy that. But it, you know, just makes you wonder, because all they do is they could just call it Untitled Cloverfield Project. So we don't know if that's 3 or 4 or 5. And since this is all J.J. Abrams, I think it would be cool if they incorporated Super 8 as part of the Cloverfield universe, kind of retroactively make that Cloverfield. Although honestly, what would be really cool is we're getting, well, way back since like 2014 or 2015, they announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be doing a Half-Life Portal movie within that universe. So that could be really cool if there was some potential crossover there. But who knows about that? We haven't heard anything about that since they announced it. Maybe I should be making daily updates for the Half-Life Portal movie. But yeah, that's going to be about it. You know, I can't. Just this whole situation, it really, for me, it's going to take me some time to process it, maybe watch it a couple times, go over some specific scenes, any Easter eggs I might have missed. Thinking about it now, I didn't see any references to the satellites, because I know that was a big thing in Cloverfield, was the satellites, and John Goodman's character from 10 Cloverfield Lane worked for that company that was behind the satellites or whatever. I didn't see any references to that, but I might have missed it. You know, I'm definitely going to take some more time to process this movie exactly, but you know, honestly, I made this right after just because I think it's kind of cool that I'm putting this video up, you know, right after, before some of the bigger YouTubers out there put it up. So I mean, usually I put up movie reviews months or weeks after, so I thought this was a nice change of pace. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next from the Cloverfield universe.